We've got universities from New York to Washington and other places who've experienced another horrible week as it relates to anti-Semitic behavior, where students and citizens have damaged and or forcefully occupied school property. And those demonstrations, by the way, are many of them have been shut down, and many of the perpetrators have been arrested. But all of this is a stark contrast to what we saw under the Biden administration. So what exactly has led to the change in the approach, and does this have any chance, really, to squash anti-Semitism? Well, here to discuss this and more is Congressman Randy Weber. He sits on a couple of different House committees, but he's also the co-chair of the Bipartisan Task Force for Combating Anti-Semitism, and he represents the 14th Congressional District of Texas. Congressman Weber, always great to see you, my friend. Welcome back to Washington Watch.
Thank you, Jody. Thank you for what y'all do. We appreciate it.
Well, thank you. Listen, I want to get into this anti-Semitism stuff real quickly before I get into that. President Trump is about to make his first trip to the Middle East. He'll be in Saudi Arabia, Qatar, United Arab Emirates. What do you anticipate the president is going to be focusing on while he is in the Middle East?
Well, of course, supporting Israel as our best ally, obviously. You know, he was the one who moved the embassy to Jerusalem, the rightful capital of Israel. And so I'm assuming he's going to go down that path again, support Israel. And I hope he gets to meet with Benjamin Netanyahu, and reassure him that we're going to make every effort we can, and certainly make sure that Iran never gets a nuclear weapon. And of course, he'll probably talk about the Abraham Accords. And that's probably going to be, I don't know how many days he's going to be there. I guess he lost my phone number. He didn't call me and ask me for topics.
Well, I'm sure had he not lost his number, he would have called you. No question about it.
Yeah, but he's going to be there with our good friend Israel for their back, you bet.
Absolutely. All right. Well, let's come back, if we can, to discuss all the activity taking place on campuses across the country. We had Columbia University, about 80 different individuals protesting there. The police were called. They shut it down pretty quickly. And, of course, that, in fact, was praised by the Trump administration as an encouraging development. You would think that this would be normal. Why is it now that when we have these individuals, these perpetrators arrested, that is looked upon as encouraging?
You know, the world has gone crazy, absolutely crazy. You and I have been around a long time, and we've never seen anything like this. And just saying, and you know that President Trump, by the way, sought to eliminate the tax status of one of the, I read a quick one on that university. Was it yesterday, day before yesterday? Was it Harvard? I forget which one it was. Mm-hmm. And we're seeing these people. We're seeing these people where, I mean, it is so bad, Jody. You know this. In the last time the Bible says men will call good evil and evil good. You're seeing all this transgender stuff, and I know this isn't necessarily about the colleges per se, but I'm glad Columbia is waking up at least. But did you see that? I think it was this morning or was it yesterday evening? Pete Hegseth is saying they're getting transgendered out of the military. Did you see that? It's
fantastic.
Absolutely, it is. Absolutely, it is. So we're watching this with a great degree of interest. It's for Christians. You know, we have been absolutely bombarded with, we're uncaring. You know what? We're so intolerant. Well, it turns out the only intolerant people, or mainly the intolerant people, are these protesters, these people who hate Israel, these people who hate God's law. They're the ones who are intolerant.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, you know, we've got this at Columbia University. It's happening at the University of Washington. Brooklyn College had some incidents this week. But all of this it seems like there is a different attitude now. The reactions are so different now from the way colleges treated these protests under the Biden administration. Why is that? What's the big difference, you think?
Well, did I mention that Trump is threatening to take away their tax exempt status?
You did mention that with Harvard. Yeah.
Follow the bouncing dollar, and I think you'll get an answer to that because there's a new sheriff in town. He's not going to tolerate this kind of stuff. These kids, a lot of them, they want to go to college to learn, these Jewish kids particularly, and the fact that they're being threatened, they don't feel safe, they can't get into their own classroom, their own dormitories, their own institutional buildings, whatever that might look like. That's unacceptable. It's unconscionable. It's unconstitutional for that matter. And so I'm glad that Trump's finally doing something about it, and that these universities are waking up to the fact that there's a new sheriff in town.
Absolutely. Well, if I can switch gears with you, Congressman Weber, to the topic of immigration. I know this is another one that you are heavily involved with and have been for a long, long time. Homeland Security Secretary Kristi Noem told senators on yesterday, that as many as 600,000 migrants who were on their way to the United States have now turned around when they realized that President Trump had closed the border. Your reaction to that?
Oh, it's unbelievably great. They're, like I said, they know that Trump means business. I don't know if you saw Tom Holman's report. The first, was it 3 months of this year? 9 people were apprehended at the border compared to under Biden. And you heard me say I call him Biden because I think it's Obama's third term. His first 3 months was the last year in office, or I forget which year it was. There was 100,000. It was an unbelievable number, or maybe it was a little less than that. I forget the number, but it was multitudes larger than 9 people at the border. People down south, people in other countries are learning that Trump is not going to put up with this stuff, and it's showing up in the statistics.
Well, and now I understand as of earlier this week, the administration, DHS, at least started offering the $1,000 stipend for illegal aliens to self-deport if they do so through the CBP app. You have an opinion on that?
Well, it's a plane ticket and $1,000. I'm a Texan. I guess I'm old school. I think that they ought to really be punished in some fashion. Maybe they either get I'll say this tongue in cheek, they get a plane ride. They can either have and we fly over their country, open the door. They can either have $1,000 or a parachute. So they can,
It all depends on location.
Yeah, I'm not going to say that.
Yeah.
I say that in front of the camera, but no, I mean it's cheaper for them to do that. Obviously, Trump's administration has counted those dollars than it is for us to have to pay for an airline ticket, get them down there and do all the paperwork stuff. If they'll do it voluntarily, then I'm sure they've counted the numbers. It's going to be a little cheaper.
We've only got a couple of seconds left. Real quickly, are we going to get the reconciliation bill across the finish line?
Well, it's going to be tough. We're working through this. As you know, Energy and Commerce has the largest amount, $880 billion. Democrats are trying to say we're going to kill Social Security. We're going to kill Medicaid, Medicare. We're not doing that. We want these able-bodied young men who don't belong on Medicaid to get off of it. We want all the people who have signed up for 2 or 3 times worth of Medicaid because they do it in different states. They got to get off. The waste, fraud, and abuse has to be ferreted out and done away with.
Congressman Randy Weber of Texas, always great to see you. Thanks. Have a great weekend.